Welcome back to another video, my friend. I'm Blake and you're you, and this is Mardu Greasefang with just 4 rares, all of which are our 4 copies of Greasefang. What I want to know before we get into this video is, do you think this deck is the best deck in Explorer right now? Now let's jump into this list so I can show you what we have. We obviously must run 4 copies of Greasefang. I do love building budget lists, but sometimes you gotta throw in the rares to make it work, and the deck is named Greasefang, so obviously we're running a playset of this. But if you want to test the deck out, but you don't want to invest all those precious rares and wildcards, this is a good enough deck that you can decide if you like it or not. So I am running several rares in my land slot just because I have those, but just run whatever lands you have available. Now, the big question is, what are we going to reanimate with Greasefang, who is a 4/3 that says, at the beginning of combat on your turn, return target vehicle card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste, and then you return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of your next end step. So, we are running 4 copies of Thundersteel Colossus. This is replacing Parhelion, the big target for the deck. So, it's just a 7/7 trample. It has haste on its own, and it does a lot of work. Doesn't win you the game quite in the same fashion that Parhelion does, but if we can crank this thing out on turn 3, it's going to do just fine. Now, this is the card that's not quite as good because it is crew 5, so we are looking for 1 combo other card with it, but it's a 10/7 that can't be blocked by anything with power 2 or less. So Demolition Stomper is what we're running. Now, the deck needs to have ways to get back Greasefang because it is vulnerable to the removal, and once the opponent knows what we're doing, they're going to hold up removal and wait for that Greasefang. So we're running 4 copies of Patch Up. It's just a 3-mana sorcery that we're pretty much just using to bring back Greasefang. Now, how are we going to get our important artifacts into the graveyard? Well, that's a great question. First off, we're running 4 copies of Raffine's Informant. It's the new common out of new Capenna, and when it comes into the battlefield, it connives. So you make it a 3/2 by trashing either of the vehicles. You could also run the Blood Tide Harvester, but I think I actually like this just a little bit better because it gets the discard without needing the extra mana from the blood. So you are also running 4 Deadly Disputes. This doesn't put anything in the yard, obviously, but just really good combo piece. We can sack those blood tokens. We're running 2 Heartless Act and 1 Thrill of Possibility, which is another discard fodder. We are also running 4 Epicures. It creates a blood, which can be used for that very important Deadly Dispute, or it can also use the blood to discard something if we need. 4 Stitcher Supplier, just a really good card for any kind of reanimation deck. It's a playset of the 1/1 for 1, and when it enters the battlefield or dies, you mill 3. Very good. 1 copy of Feign Death. This is a card that I'm testing out in the list. Until end of turn, target creature gains when this creature dies. Return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control with a +1/+1 counter. So this is, again, protecting that Greasefang from removal. And then 3 Fatal Push pairs really nicely with the things we're doing with Deadly Dispute and Epicure. And it also can actually trigger off of the artifacts returning to our hand from the Greasefang trigger. So this deck is really quite good in the meta. The budget deck still supports it well, so I'm really excited to show you guys this deck. Let's get into a few matches so we can see what it can do. Okay, jumping into our first match here. A little awkward not seeing red. It would be ideal to go with the Epicure, but on the draw, I think turn 2 Informant and then potentially getting that turn 3 Greasefang, if we can find an artifact, is worth keeping. Obviously not our perfectly ideal hand. We do see blue, so we're always trying to figure out what kind of matchup we're going against. Will help us decide what to play. I think I'll just go ahead and put in the Godless Shrine, and I'm actually going to play it untapped because I want the option to Fatal Push any small card he might decide to play here. So already next turn, I'm thinking about my next play, what it might be, and it's probably just going to be Raffine's Informant getting down some kind of blocker. And now I'm quite glad that I kept up that because Ledger Shredder is a card that can get out of hand very quickly. Now this probably changes things because I really want to be able to turn 3 do the Greasefang thing. So putting in a Stitcher Supplier here and hoping to hit one of those artifacts is super important. And we do hit it, so we're going to see a really good showing for the deck. They're probably playing Is It Phoenix, which might have a counterspell depending on what they do here. It's good that we actually see the expressive iteration. I don't think they have a 1-mana counterspell that can counter a creature spell. So we should get to see a pretty cool showing of this deck here. So let's see what they do. I feel like they might consider playing this now, which would be good for us. They tap out. So let's go ahead and get our Blood Crypt down, see if they have anything at 1 mana for us, and see if we can do the thing. They could have... I think we're in a pretty good... They could have an unsummon, but I think we're probably in a pretty good spot here in that we probably get to do the Greasefang thing. So let's see. We're obviously looking at hitting our Thundersteel Colossus here, and hitting them for 7 is going to feel pretty good. And then next turn, again, we have a reliable way to throw the big Colossus back in the yard with Informant, and they're in a pretty tough spot. Now, the cool thing about this deck is that once you do upgrade it and get those important rares you need, then you really just win if you can get 1 Greasefang activation, almost guaranteed. It's so, so strong what the deck can do. So let's go ahead and crew this thing up using Greasefang. I wonder if they're considering giving up or what they're considering. So the deck runs quite smoothly at times like this. Now picture if this was like an 8/8 that makes you 2 4/4 angels, you just win. So that's what's so cool about this deck. But the budget deck, you know, you have to work a little harder, but already we're set up so super well. You guys can just see how it goes, and we're really doing some good stuff. So let's see what they have for us. Crackling Drake, honestly not really a problem. We're going to swing in for 7 again next turn, which is going to feel quite good. So we'll go ahead and connive here. We draw another Colossus. Don't really need 3, so it doesn't super help us, but that's fine. Let's go ahead and go to combat. We will crew this guy again. We'll hit this. We'll go ahead and swing in with our Stitcher, because him milling us doesn't really hurt anything. That's totally fine. We'll take the free mill. Didn't hit anything that's too important there. We'll put down this, and then we already set up another blood, so on the end step, we'll get to discard this, and that's going to feel really, really good. So let's see what they can do to stop us. The deck really, really going so quickly here. You love to see it. Very tough matchups. Even bringing down these commons. Putting in some work. I will eventually on the channel, once I save up enough rares and wild cards, post an actual full version of the list. So be on the lookout for that if you are interested. But even this budget version is solid. Solid. Okay, I think they're just digging for answers, trying to probably look for some way to get rid of the Greasefang, which makes a lot of sense. So we're just seeing what they could potentially have. Lightning Axe. Yeah, that'll help them out a lot. Let's go ahead and discard and draw a card. That is about the one thing they could do to get back. Luckily, we find another copy of Greasefang. They might get a couple of these back. Okay. So we should swing in with both of these, I think. He's got to be pretty much... Ooh, okay, interesting choice. We don't really need either of these colors too importantly, but let's go ahead and put down a Greasefang and put the pressure on. So let's do this, We'll tap right here. Next, swing in. He's got to give us at least one of these. And actually, if he kills it, it's almost better for us. It's actually better for us, because then it gets put in the yard for free. He's at 1. I guess we should have swung everything and we would have won. So small misplay there on my part. I didn't consider that. And we get the win anyway. Let's go ahead and get into a couple other games, but the deck works. Okay, jumping into another game here. Turn 1 Supplier always feels pretty good. Turn 2 Heartless Act to buy us some time. We also will be able to mill several cards with Takenuma late game. I think this is good enough we keep it. We do have all 3 colors, which is quite nice. So I think this is a perfectly keepable hand. Not quite as good when you don't see Greasefang in that opener, or at least a way to discard one of those important artifacts. That's when the deck has a little bit of trouble, but it's got enough going for it that you can usually find some fun things to do. see Epicure probably going up against either mid-range or a Mire match here. No attacks. Hopefully he'll swing in the Epicure and we can block. Mill some more. Probably Rakdos mid-range. Especially seeing Thoughtseize. He can have any of these. That doesn't matter. We're not worried about any of these getting tossed. He should know we're playing Mardu Greasefang at this point. Curious to see what he takes here. Heartless Act is fine. I would love it if he'd swing this in. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and get down this. And then I think we just hold up, let him not know what we have, and then Deadly Dispute at the end of his turn. Draw us some cards, make that treasure. It will also put 3 in the yard, which will be great. Hitting a Greasefang at this point isn't even terrible. Okay, that's fine. We're going to do this, 1 blocker, and then do this so that I can draw my cards. He does get the Mayhem trigger, which is totally fine. Okay. Not a good hit there. That really is quite sad to miss all of that. So, we're in an awkward position whenever you don't hit the things you need. Let's start with Informant and we can toss a patch-up. We definitely don't need 2 patch-up. And then I probably just use the treasure to Fatal Push this one. I think is the play. He doesn't have any way to sacrifice anything else, so we're pretty safe there. We hit the Devil. We're just sort of playing a slow game here. Nothing to hold up, so we just let that enter tapped. A little sad we had to use the treasure, but that was the way that we could get the Fatal Push to hit the Mayhem Devil, because it's too small, and the Mayhem Devil puts in too much work over the long haul. It's just pinging you for damage, or we'll pick off our little stuff. So I think that's the way to go. So this is when the deck doesn't work, is when you get through 10 or 12 cards and now all of a sudden you've done nothing. Luckily we can patch up and bring back an Informant and an Epicure will actually feel pretty good. Or actually I think we patch up and bring back Informant and Supplier. Feels quite nice here. We get to mill 3 and we get to discard a card. I don't think we really need Takenuma at this point. We're going to get to mill a lot here, except that that does bring something back to our hand. So if we see Greasefang in there, we don't see Greasefang. We'll just toss this land and see what we can do here. We'll hold on to this in case we do throw a Greasefang in the yard. Then we can bring it back with Takenuma. Gonna be a little awkward with the mana. Okay, if we can hit a Greasefang, we're rolling. We're really rolling if we can hit a Greasefang. They might be running Graveyard Trespasser, which is one of the reasons the deck is a really bad matchup for the deck. But also, I would say the average Rakdos mid-range or Anvil decks don't run it. So, we're probably okay. See the Harvester is fine. Lovely. Oh, I was hoping he would let me kill a Stitcher Supplier. Okay. Let's see if he will block anything. Let's see. I want to go to combat. I'll leave 1 Supplier back just so he doesn't get free damage. Chip damage is important for this deck to get because their combos are slow and grindy. Now, let's just do this. And then after the 1 damage, let's do this. see what we can get in there. 1, 2, 3, and 2 informants. No Greasefang yet. Okay, struggling to find that Greasefang. Yeah, I think we will put this in tapped. We've got the treasure. If we would somehow find a way for this to die and put a Greasefang in, we can do this with the treasure. So I'll just put that in tapped, save the 2 life. Also, if I needed to, I could have paid the 2. I would have been willing to pay the 2 to have the option of getting lucky enough to Takenuma a Greasefang in case they killed the Supplier. We have one of our big... Yeah, we do have a Colossus in the yard already, so I have a good discard target if it comes up again. And we actually have enough to play this next turn, which might hilariously be the thing to do. Okay, this is lovely. I want this to die. This could work out well for us if he lets this die. He might be willing to Deadly Dispute it, though. Wonderful. Come on, show me that Greasefang. It's got to be close. Okay, I mean, we've gone through half our deck and I've not hit a Greasefang. Sometimes that just happens. Obviously that is sad. We'll just literally play this straight up. Nothing else to do at the moment. Quite a weird hand. It crews for 2. So, I mean, we can even just Takenuma and bring back a Informant and get this thing going. So this is a weird play pattern that you don't normally play out, but it's kind of holding on. Putting a lot of pressure on him to do something here, and we have just a really high chance. 4 in 23 to draw Greasefang. So that's a pretty good chance, because we have not seen a single one yet. So we're getting some pretty good matches to show off the deck. We saw the one where it turbos and just puts a ton of pressure on, but now we're also seeing the game where we don't do our thing for a long time, and it still kind of holds out. Obnixilus is pretty bad for us to see here. We can probably discard Takenuma if he does the discard thing.
Just don't shake down the locals.
Do I need this?
And you'll lose everything.
I think I'll wait for this one time. I might need to bring back the Informant this turn to get stuff going. That's what I'm thinking. That is what I am thinking. Sure. Okay, he's in a pretty good spot now. 4 in 23, let's go, baby. And we see Anvil, okay. The pressure's on. That's not great. Let's go ahead and do this. I will bring back Informant. Still no Greasefang. Informant will turn this on. Deadly Dispute is interesting. This doesn't help me crew another one. Deadly Dispute could draw me some stuff. Okay, let's go to combat. Let's get rid of one of these obs. That will feel pretty good. We are in a fairly vulnerable place here, being at 9 with their combo set up, but we're also going to be able to put in a lot of damage. And if we can hit our silly Greasefang, then we can get 2 of these going. And that feels like it will be fast enough we can do all the things.
Cruel and painful.
I'm tempted when he does the discard thing to play this, draw 2, sack this, and just assume we're going to hit a creature or a patch-up. I think I'm going to take the risk and do that, because I actually want to... Ooh. I mean, even if I draw Greasefang at this point, I think we just let him do this. We'll keep our Informant now. That changes the play. He can do the discard thing if he wants. He's going to get this turned on. Luckily, this has Trample, which is amazing. This having Trample helps so much against this deck. Yeah, we'll take the 2. We'll take another one. We'll take another one. We're in trouble. We're in real trouble. I mean, if we draw Greasefang next turn, maybe we get it. But he's got the combos going. And he can still deal 1 more, 2 more. If he has a way to sack this, he can do 3 more. Yeah, we're not looking good. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, now we've got 4 and 18. What are the odds? That doesn't help us too much. We'll just do this. Should be pretty safe against any of his removal. I think we just swing face. Because this can make us discard. Next turn, he for sure can sack this. We can kill this, so he can deal 2 damage here. And then a 3rd damage. And then if he does this, we take 2 more. Okay, we're actually going to play the slower game. And hit the Ob. I don't know if that's correct or not. Because the other option is to try to just hope we live 1 more turn. And then a Greasefang probably wins it with double Thundersteel. So I don't know if that was the right play. 4 and 17 chance now. He's going to swing in first for sure. In which case we Fatal Push the Samurai because it's 2 damage. Hopefully his calculations were banking on that. So he's definitely got 1, 2. That's probably game. 3 when he sacks the artifact will be at 3. If he has like a Deadly Dispute, this puts him at 4. So next turn we die either way unless we draw something to hold him off. So a weird game where we went to 7. There's 4 of our Greasefangs are in here. 4 out of the last 16. Sometimes you just don't draw the cards. Let's try again. Okay, so going first with no red or white in hand seems too risky. Oh, I actually didn't mean to click keep. So I guess we'll see what the deck does when you play with no mana. Probably just an L here. I actually meant to mulligan that. Actually seeing an early Greasefang in there is pretty decent. We just gotta find our other colors. And even no red, we just need to find a white source, which we obviously would have hit there. So this is weird. I'm just gonna do this. We do have Fatal Push, which can hold them off for a moment. So a little strange. I wonder if it's ever appropriate to Fatal Push our own Supplier. Kind of seems like an option. Okay, well let's see if the deck is resilient enough to get through no mana. Okay, well, scratch that one. We'll just go to another one. That was weird. Okay, so a little bit better of a hand here. We have all our colors, early Stitcher Supplier, possibilities not bad to draw early, and we have an Informant. I'm feeling quite nice about this hand here. So let's start off. I think I like the Supplier early better than the Epicure. Okay, that's not great to throw any of those in the yard, but we'll do. Let's go ahead and put in the Informant. Let us choose what we throw in the yard. I think at this point I don't really care about the Epicure. I guess the Epicure was probably worth keeping to combo with the Dispute. But that's okay. Alright, well, another weird one. Let's see another game, I guess. Okay, so, seeing if we can find a real game. Once again, 1 color of mana, probably just not playable with no way to draw cards out of it. I think we got a mulligan here. I will plan to play like the maxed out version closer to the end of this season once I'm a higher rank. Rank is a lot about time. Okay, let's see. 2 colors, no black. But we can go Epicure or possibility to draw us cards. I think this is keepable. Let's toss 1 Epicure. I don't think double Epicure helps us. But anyway, I was saying, I'm playing in gold right now because it's a new season, which doesn't really allow the deck to show off super well. You just get weird matchups and lots of conceding. So I will plan to play the actual built-out version if I can pick up another couple wild cards closer to the end of the season, and you guys can see a little better what it's actually built to do. Let's just go ahead and do this. What I would really love is to find myself a way to put that Colossus in the yard. What's the fastest way to do that? I think first we try to draw a card. Let's toss this Plains in the yard to draw. Informant's not bad. It can dig us a little deeper. Going up against a ramp deck of some kind. I'm always nervous when I see turn 3 Cultivate and I haven't done much. Okay, I think Informant here feels pretty good. Hoping to draw the Colossus. I don't think having 2 Greasefangs in hand helps us. Let's go double white. We've got more white in hand than black. And we start digging. Okay, I do love the Topiary Stomper. It makes me want to build a dinosaur deck. I just don't have the wild cards for it. But I love this card. I think it's really cool. Okay, Supplier could be what we need. Okay, there's our Colossus. Now next turn we got the thing turned on. I'm feeling quite good. Let's do another one of these. Let's toss the possibility. And let's put this in tapped. And then we just wait 1 turn, and I think we're doing good things. He's probably going to do a lot. He'll probably have 7 mana for some crazy shenanigans. Okay, so they're going to get a lot of stuff going on. So we need to really be rolling here. So we at least luckily get to do the thing. So that's quite good. Let's just swing in with everyone. I actually think I could have been swinging. I forgot this can't block until he had 7. I don't think that even could block until this last turn. So we're going to see how much value they can get out here. They bring out Thassa. Makes a lot of sense. Prismatic Bridge is just an awesome card. Binding is good. Luckily we can patch up, but we have to find a way to get this in the yard. So that's the challenge here. He probably blinks this guy, gets another land. Yeah. Makes sense. Let's go ahead and dispute our own Stitcher here. We can still patch up if we can just put another thing in the yard. Okay, sad. Sad, sad, sad. In this case, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. I'm just debating if it's worth patching up something different. Like if we almost patch up a Stitcher Supplier and an Informant. It's risky. Because next turn I can just play this anyway. I'm actually talking myself into this because next turn I can just play this, and as long as I have an Informant out, we're fine. So let's actually bring back a Supplier and an Informant, and then we could potentially throw another Colossus in the yard, and then we can actually just play this next turn, and this also gives us a lot of bodies to get through his 1 blocker for the moment. Okay, that's good. Discard a card. We're going to discard this Plains. Put in another one of these. We've got 7 mana next turn. And he just has the 1 blocker. So we're kind of in a decent spot. We'll hold this back. We want a lot of attackers next turn. And I think if we can survive this turn without him bringing up some crazy game-winning combo piece... See, that's fine. Weird choice. I don't know what he's going for here. I'm not sure what his endgame is, but I feel like he's got to be close. Like an Emergent Ultimatum or something. That'll do it. Tibalt is quite good. Okay. That's fine. Ooh, unless he gets to hit... I think this can only grab a creature. It's great. We're fine. I think we're fine. I think we can pull this one out. I think we can still pull this one out. He's tapped out, so the food doesn't gain him much. We're going to go ahead and put in a land, play the Colossus. We will crew the Colossus with the smallest Informant. We want as many bodies to go as wide as possible, especially with our trample. It will be tough for him to deal with that. Let's see if we got the win right here. Tibalt can't block anything without dying. Even if he blocks here, that's 3 damage, and I think we have enough attackers that we're fine here. Okay. I mean, he might live on 1 here, so that was a smart move by him. I think this exact block leaves him on 1. And he gives us the game. Wow, that was a crazy one. We held it off. Okay, getting into another game here. We do see 2 lands, but also an Informant I think is worth keeping, because these are going to draw us an extra card, extra 2 cards if we need. We also have the access to the Deadly Dispute. I think it's okay to keep these here. So we'll go ahead and put this in tap because we don't have any 1-drops to play. This hand would be even like more appropriate on the draw, but on the play with double Informant, I'm feeling confident enough to find what we need. So we're going up against black and green for sure. And that's actually a great thing to see here. We might be looking at the turn 3 Greasefang. If we can just draw that land, that would be sweet. Okay, come on, land, baby. I love the turn 3 combo. That is sad because he's definitely going to snatch our Greasefang. So that's unfortunate. I guess Deadly Dispute would be better at this point then. Or not Deadly Dispute, Fatal Push. Let's go ahead and see if he's silly enough to give us our card back. We'll put the pressure on. I'd love to get Greasefang back. I doubt he's that silly. Okay. Appropriately not blocking. I'm hunting for a land here. I think I'll toss the Possibility because we don't have a red source yet, and we don't have anything we actively want to discard. Also, Feign Death is probably not super important. I'm actually talking myself into Feign Death here. Let's get rid of that. Next turn, we can Heartless Act the Valky, which is great. Still looking for that 3rd land. I doubt he wants to become a Greasefang, but that'd be pretty fun if he did. Pretty funny. Ha! Yeah, you go for it. Swing in. I will take that all day. Nice. I love that. That's hilarious how cool that looks. That's awesome. I don't know if I've ever actually seen anyone transform Valky into a creature. Okay. I still need a 3rd land before I can do anything anyway. So let's see if he's willing to give me my creature back yet. Nope, that's fine. Let's go land hunting. Double patch up isn't going to help me. And we're actually just putting a ton of pressure on with these Informants, which is really funny. I actually think if he plays any other creature, I'll Heartless Act that creature and make him block with the Tibalt. Or the Valky, rather. Ooh, the one thing we can't hit. That's a little unfortunate. We'll definitely take this trade. Get our thing back. Still no land. This is insane. Well, let's go ahead and see if he's willing to trade. I mean, we actually just have a good amount of pressure on, just like that. And then... do we dispute? I guess we wait and then we just dispute, because dispute gives us a treasure and guarantees us the Greasefang next turn, so that's pretty good. He could also just have another Valky, which is why I felt confident doing that. In which case, we probably Heartless Act. Okay, that one's fine. Looks like we're going against +1/+1 counters here. We will dispute. Happy to give this up to guarantee a Greasefang next turn. And there's our lands we were looking for, finally. So let's go ahead and do this. Next, let's go to combat. We'll bring in this. We're gonna do this. He does got the big boy blocker now, so next to attacks, swing in here. He could double trade, and that would actually be fine, because then it goes to the graveyard. It's even better for us. Lovely. Lovely, lovely. We'll just hold on to that for now, and we are in a wonderful position now. I feel like we've got this one. This could be another 5-color bridge. This is great. We'll just tap this down, and yeah, we got the win now. Good game. We don't even need to bring back the thing. Good game. The deck is really quite good. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for hanging out with me for this deck. Let me know how you think the deck is. See you in the next one.